Hello and welcome to the PokerStars.net European Poker Tour. It's Season 10 and it's the final table of the first event of a huge festival here in Barcelona, the final table of the €50,000 buy-in Super High Roller event. Good afternoon everyone, I'm James Hartigan with Joe Stapleton.
Hello my babies.
And I'd like to thank everyone who stuck with us for all 13 and a half hours of our live coverage yesterday as we attempted but failed to play down to the bubble, ending play with our final table of eight talented pros, but only 7 will go away happy, only 7 will make the money. This is an epic bubble.
I don't think it's right to say we failed. They failed as players to eliminate the 8th player, but yeah, what a crazy, a 6-figure bubble. And someone is going to be walking away pretty disappointed. Hopefully quickly. Hopefully it doesn't take them too long to lose that player, because I think if you're that player, you don't want to drag it out.
So here's the thing, the images you're seeing right now actually happened 60 minutes ago. So the final table was due to start in real time at 1 p.m. Central European time. It was delayed by about an hour, understandably with play not finishing until 1:30 a.m. last night. No one really wanted to come back too early. But we are commentating on a delayed feed. So we're going to watch the action an hour after it happened. The advantage of that is we will be able to show you the whole cards from the 8 players at this final table.
And one of the advantages is that also we can see the Russian commentators in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Those two handsome devils in the suits are actually sitting right next to us right now. Kind of weird.
They have disrupted the space-time continuum. Of course, we are commentating live over this delayed picture, and that means you can interact with us in the booth. You can use hashtag EPTLive if you want to get in touch, or you can email nuts@pokerstars.tv. Don't forget that you can follow the action via the PokerStars TV app, available for iOS and Android devices. Download it now, so wherever you're going today, you can follow the action. That should be a strong final table. All the ways to get in touch are on your screen right now. To be honest with you, the best means of contact is on Twitter. All I would warn you about is we cannot control what other people tweet. Now, I'm hoping that no one's going to do what they did in Monaco and actually intentionally tag their tweets EPT Live, putting out spoilers.
There aren't that many people that have access to spoilers, but sometimes they're so excited, they tag their tweets. Unfortunately, like James says, we cannot control that, but James and I will spoil nothing except Game of Thrones. Direct message me. I will tell you everything about it.
So plenty of ways to get in touch. We look forward to your company over the course of the afternoon as we play down to a champion, the first champion of EPT 10. The winner in this super high roller, set to receive more than €770,000. The first man out, remember, is the Bubble Boy. A min cash for 7th place is worth just shy of €130,000. So the players are in position.
You'd think making a final table would at least guarantee a couple of bucks, but no, sir. We're cutthroat here at the super high roller.
The cameras are ready. The chip stacks are out on the table. So very shortly, we're going to be handing down to the main floor. And we'll hand over to EPT event host Neil Johnson, who'll introduce the 8 players. Just in case you weren't watching yesterday and don't know who's left from this starting field of 40 great players. If you have just joined us today, please be aware that EPT Live is bringing you coverage from every single day of the Barcelona Festival. And tomorrow we switch our focus to the main event, the 5K buy-in main event, which, judging by the numbers on day 1A, is going to be a record breaker.
It's going to be huge. Not huge, huge.
We already have about 500 players who've taken their seats on day 1A. Assuming that tomorrow is a sellout with alternates, we could be looking at 1,300 plus in the 5K main event. Live coverage starts tomorrow right here on EPT Live. Make sure you're with us, but don't go anywhere because it's super high roller time in the Catalan capital. And here at EPT Barcelona, we're going to crown a champion today. One of these 8 players will be walking away with the trophy and €771,000.
Be honest, audience. How many of you thought what we were playing before things started today was actually the live event happening right now? It's okay. It's okay if you did. It was a super high roller. It was in Barcelona, but it was not today's live event. That was from last year, you dummies.
And Mike McDonald and Eric Seidel at the final table.
Actually would have been pretty understandable to confuse that.
Okay, let's go down to the floor. Let's introduce the players who've made this final table. It's time to introduce PokerStars live event specialist and EPT event host, Neil Johnson. Neil J., it's time for you to do your thing, and time for us to meet the 8 players who've made the final table of this tournament. Let's get things started at the Casino Barcelona.
Welcome everyone to beautiful Barcelona and the launch of the 10th season of the European Poker Tour. Our 50,000 euro super high roller saw 51 players combine for a prize pool of almost 2.5 million euro. All of that money is on the line today at the final table. Let's meet our players. Seat number 1 has 845,000 in chips and is opening EPT Season 10 the same way he closed EPT Season 9 at the super high roller final table. He finished 4th at the 100K in Monaco, and this would be his 6th cash on the EPT. He's bookending his 4 World Series cashes this summer with these super high rollers, Canadian Timothy Adams. C2 continues his dominating run in Europe since February 2012. He has 15 cashes in Europe and 14 of them are final tables. He finished off EPT 9 with a victory over arguably the toughest main event final table in the history of the tour when he won the grand final. With 1,015,000 in chips, another EPT season equals another EPT final table for Ireland's Steve O'Dwyer. Seat 3 is from Canada and known to most of the poker world as Timex. He has an incredible 22 lifetime cashes on the EPT. He came 5th in this event last year and is looking to be the first player on the tour to collect both EPT main event and EPT super high roller trophies. With 2,300,000 in chips, Mike McDonald. Seat 4 is from Germany and sitting at his 8th high roller final table. He's finished in the top 5 of 7 of those tables, including a victory in Paris. This would be his 11th cash on the EPT, and he'll be looking to lock up the first trophy of Season 10 with his 1,120,000 in chips. Fabian Kvass. Seat 5 is from the United States and aiming to ladder the all-time money list. With a 5th place today, he'll pass Phil Hellmuth, and with a 2nd or a 1st, he'll pass Team PokerStars Pro Daniel Negreanu and move into 3rd on the all-time money list. He's the 2nd player making a return engagement to the Barcelona Super High Roller final table, having finished 6th last year. With 1,145,000 in chips, Eric Seidel. Seat 6 is our chip leader and from Austria. He's sitting at his 11th final table of 2013. He went 3 for 4 at the EPT 9 Grand Final, winning No Limit Hold'em, Pot Limit Omaha, Win the Button, and coming 3rd in the 8 game. With 2,835,000 in chips, Ola Shemian. Seat number 7 is multi-tabling this super high roller. He currently has a stack in play at the 2013 World Series main event. While he awaits his shot at that first place and those 7 figures, he's going to practice coming in first and winning 7 figures in dollars today. From the United States with 1,020,000 in chips, November 9er David Benefield. Seat 8 is from Russia, 2nd in chips, and could have his 10th EPT cash here today. He also has 2 WSOP bracelets, one of which came in the 40K 40th anniversary event for almost $2 million. Currently sitting 3rd on the all-time money list for Russia with 2,470,000 in chips, Vitaly Lumpkin. All right, we have 8 players here, but we're only paying 7 spots. 30,000, 60,000 are the blinds, 10,000 ante. Good luck, gentlemen. Shuffle up and deal.
Great job, Neil Johnson.
Thank you, Neil. Let's get this started. Hello to Reese, who says, turning back into EPT Live. Great to hear Stapes again. Can't wait to get into the final table. Dorothy says, can't wait for the Mike McDonald stare. The hairy beast that is Steve O'Dwyer, and the Germans, of course. Jasper says, ready for another couple of hours live stream. Yesterday's 13-hour broadcast was sick. Gunmean is watching the Super High Roller and Man United versus Liverpool, an epic Sunday evening's entertainment.
Multi-screening.
Paul Walsh says he was hallucinating by the end of yesterday's 13-hour session.
I don't know if you guys were paying attention to those chip counts right there, but as is often the case when play goes late into the night before a final table, stacks are awfully shallow right now. Our chip leader with only 47 big blinds, several sub 20 big blind stacks.
It's the first hand of this final table. A reminder that blinds are 30-60 with a 10k ante. And under the gun +2 raise from Vitaly Lunkin with 9-10 suited. And that will win him the pot. Raise and take it. And Shemin's decided that the mint sleeveless hoodie is a good look and has brought it back for today's final table.
James, I think it's the world that's decided that the mint sleeveless hoodie is a good look. You can't argue with everyone.
Dylan says, is it just me or does Mike McDonald's stare down look like he is pouting? Still hope he takes it out. Good luck all.
It is not just you. He's got the poutiest stare down in the biz.
Jake says, nice bum bag from Lunkin. Yeah, the Russians rock bum bags like no other nation.
Bum bag.
Be good for a washed-up PLO player.
It's amazing because bum bags are such like a silly piece of fashion, but in the poker world they're usually holding tens of thousands of dollars.
Second hand of the final table. David Benefield folds, Lunkin's out. Timothy Adams, he'll pass. O'Dwyer mucks. Mike McDonald coming to this final table with around 2.3 million. 5-7 off suit were his cards. So it's round to the blinds. Eric Seidel in the small. And he gives Olashemian a walk. Well, there you go. Hand number one, raise and take it. Hand number two, a walk. This is what you've been waiting for 13 hours.
Really, really good stuff.
I mean, the bubble dynamic is obviously going to be huge here. A 130k bubble.
I mean, I think at this point, you know, once everyone, you know, we notice there are so many stacks below 20 big blinds. All the folding and the tightness just begets more folding and tightness because the shorter your stack gets, the better your hand needs to be to actually move it in on the bubble this big.
So you want a high roller in Paris?
Yeah. One of the most impressive competitions in my career.
It was like 4 people.
13 people, I think.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
Well, there's a hand.
Lunkin with queens under the gun. Vitaly Lunkin famously cracked kings with queens earlier on in this tournament to secure himself the monster chip lead, an honour that currently belongs to Olashemian.
No customer so far. Probably going to take something significant to want to mess around with the chip leader, raising under the gun. Second chip leader.
Raise gets through. Of course, the shortest stack at the final table is Timothy Adams with 815,000.
James, I feel like we should introduce our guest because I think they literally pulled him out of the water.
Yes, they did. How you guys doing?
Christoph de Mulder, you are wet.
I am still wet.
And it's not just with excitement this time.
No, it's true. I just came from the beach, so I have no idea what's going on here.
Well, you've missed
poor guy.
A total of 3 hands. Final table has literally just begun. All 8 players still in. We're still on the bubble with only 7 spots paid. Steve O'Dwyer, and as you observe, Stapes, this is back-to-back final tables in the EPT events that Steve has played.
That's right. Steve won the grand final, took off the super high roller in Monaco, back for this super high roller, back-to-back final tables. Impressive. Steve's, I don't know, his last 18 months have been incredibly impressive on the EPT.
Although I must say, I was talking to him in Vegas, and he told me he had the worst Vegas in 3 years. So I guess Europe is working for him.
Just stick to what you know, I guess.
Suffice to say, if you've got any questions for Chris, you know what to do. Tag your tweets EPT Live, email nuts@pokerstars.tv. Yeah, and actually asked a practical question on Twitter. He says, can the short stacks make a deal? Avoid bubbling? Has it been done before? what they call a saver stakes.
I guess it's possible, but that's the kind of thing they'd probably discuss amongst themselves. We wouldn't keep it a secret if they did. If we knew about it, we'd certainly let you know.
Neil says, love seeing the hole cards today. Of course, when it is a final table, when there is only one table in the tournament and we're able to delay the stream, we will bring you hole card information. We're doing it with the final table of this event, and we're going to do it with the final table of the main event next Saturday. And I don't know whether you had a chance to check out the main poker room, Christoph, but it is heaving in there. More than 500 runners on day 1A. Day 1B likely to be a sellout. This tournament is going to be huge.
Yeah, it's just the same thing as with the Estrellas main event. I've never seen so many people in this room in Barcelona. It's huge. I think poker is having the biggest boom ever in Spain.
Yeah,
I don't know
for
where
sure.
it's going to end. I think we're going to need a stadium next year or something.
So weird to see how it's grown here, that obviously we used to use the main casino here at the Casino Barcelona. Now we've come down the corridor to like the convention hall of the Arts Hotel. We've now tried combining both, some tables in one room, some in the other, and still we don't have enough space.
Next thing you know, these Spanish players are probably going to get good.
We have a raise on an all-in.
Shemian raising the cutoff with ace-king. Benefield has shoved the button.
Didn't show us his cards. He's keeping it interesting. He has a call, obviously ace-king suited. And we're going to have aces for Benefield.
Wow, great timing. And on the bubble, we kind of felt that this was necessary. Two monster hands running into each other to ensure that all the chips go in the middle.
Sick cooler for Shemian.
Yeah, that's actually insane, because he's at this point, being the chip leader on such a huge bubble, he's just going to be opening so many hands and then having ace-king suited. Yeah, obviously it's always the top of your range, but this is more the top of his range.
Only one club on the flop.
And just very quickly, actually we'll get this hand conclude, we'll see what happens.
I take a jack.
Club on the turn would make things interesting. Get some adrenaline going, but no.
So that'll do it. David Benefield will double up. And I just wanted to draw attention to the Austrian flag against Ola Shemian's name, because a lot of people are questioning that. I can assure you that when we spoke to him this morning, Mr. Shemian told us that he is an Austrian native.
Turns out we've been getting it wrong all these years. You know what? Shemian reminds me of an anecdote from a few years ago, James. My first year here in Barcelona, when Martin Schleich was at the final table, there were these two inebriated railbirds who had been given Jaeger bombs by some members of our production team to make them a little more excitable in Martin Schleich's favor. And it turns out that one of the guys screaming drunk on the rail, now 2 years later, sitting at this final table of the super high roller, Ola Shemian.
We reminded Eugene Kachelov about that earlier in the week. I actually asked Eugene, do you remember the first time you encountered Ola Shemian? And he was like racking his brain. He said, when you were playing three-handed for an EPT title, and he was one of those German guys shouting really loudly. He's like, oh, wow.
It's a pretty nice little upgrade in 2 years.
So Benefield now playing a stack of 1.9 million. Shemian has lost the chip lead. He is now third in chips behind Lunkin and McDonald. Lunkin leads with 2.67 million.
Pretty close. Yeah. Nice stack size.
It's actually funny to see how the bubble influences the tournament, because the longer the bubble takes, the more the tournament becomes a crapshoot afterwards.
That's
Because
right.
it can take for a couple of hours. Definitely with these guys, they're not going to make any mistakes.
Well, something I observed, we were showing in the run-up to the start of this final table some of the highlights of last year's Super High Roller final. There were more entrants and more rebuys last year, therefore more chips in play, substantially more chips in play. And by the time they got to the final table, I think they were six-handed with blinds at 20 and 40,000. Well, here we are, eight-handed with blinds at 30-60. So already the blinds are catching up with these guys with significantly fewer chips in play.
Yeah, we saw David Benefield coming from short stack to being one of the bigger stacks by just going all in with 15 big blinds or something, 16 big blinds.
Adams shoves small to big. He had 8. Lasso Dwyer only had 8-3. He will fold.
Obviously, all eyes are on Timothy Adams right now. Everyone's just actually waiting. I guess it's him and Eric Seidel and Steve O'Dwyer pretty close to each other.
All three of them in the danger zone.
So all eyes on these three guys, and they're actually just waiting for the other one to bust, I guess.
Samuel Barber on Twitter says, looking forward to this cards up final table. Would like to see Eric Seidel win.
You know, Eric's really put in the time in these super high rollers. I wouldn't mind a win for Eric Seidel either. Plus, you know, all those all-time money list jumping around stuff. That'd be pretty cool to see him scoot up a couple of spots.
And Sven asks, are players allowed to talk with friends on the rail so they can check hands? Yes, is the answer. And we saw that happen in the grand final in Monaco when Steve O'Dwyer was playing heads up against Andrew Pantling. And Steve had obviously a lot of great poker brains on the rail, Justin Bonham and Mike Haxton among them, who were watching the live stream and giving Steve information based on some of the hands they were seeing. But it's information that's available to all 8 players. If they've got a support team, then during the breaks or in between hands, they can converse with their support team.
Correct. Keep it fair here on the EPT.
And this is something that was obviously debated when we decided to do it this way at final tables and have the whole cards up and not have any kind of lockdown situation. And I think Daniel Negreanu and Barry Greenstein kind of put it perfectly. They said, as long as it's a level playing field, you can change it in this way. You can.
I guess it's just about having friends then.
Everybody's got at least one friend.
Patricia
That's Mike
Badika,
McDonald's friend.
very good friend of Timex's.
He's looking very happy.
This is a sick burn from Paulius on Twitter. Any poker pros expect to join you in the booth? We got Christoph de Mulder with us. You mentioned Lex Veldhuis yesterday. Well, I know that Lex arrived this morning, because I saw him at breakfast. He was eating with Fatima Maria de Melo. And I don't know, is Lex playing today, or is he likely to drop by?
I haven't received any word of Lex popping in today.
I'm pretty sure he's playing tomorrow, because today's the 1st, right?
Correct.
Then he's arriving today, playing tomorrow.
So he should be in the booth, what, a few hours later tomorrow?
That's very probable. This is such a nice spot for Ola Shemion to be in. He can just, he just lost the 880,000. In probably 2 rounds, he'll have it back. He can just keep capitalizing on this, keep abusing the situation, because there's no one that can do anything except for maybe Vitaly Lunkin. Like, this would have been a very, very good spot for Vitaly to 3-bet.
I mean, if there's one player that he would want to have as many chips as him, it's probably Vitaly. It's probably a guy that they're not going to clash very much anyway.
Yeah. Vitaly known for his playing very solid, very smug, not going out of line too much. Like, let's say you would give those chips to a guy like Victor Blum, and we would see something entirely different. And then Ola Shemion also would be not talking as much with his chips.
By the way, those of you asking about guest commentators today, Steve Silverman is going to be back a bit later on today. I know
Awesome.
that when Steve came in last night, he was very popular. A lot of you really appreciated Steve's analysis. So he will be back later on. And those of you asking for free roll password information, it will be given out a bit later on. You're going to have to be patient. We have only just started the day. Jasper on Twitter says, lol, Matty and Christoph aren't only lookalikes, but also sound-alikes. I can't tell who is who.
Join the club, bruh. At least your brother shaved part of his head.
Yeah, something went wrong there. He was doing the grass, and then all of a sudden...
Little Stapes cam for everybody. Hey, Ola. Hey, you Austrian now? Cool. Like the shirt. Where'd your sleeves go?
Did he fall asleep in a fitness center or something? What happened to him?
David, fold. Vitaly, like the shirt? Okay, bye.
Vitaly is still fine with just folding. Obviously has a lot of chips. Doesn't have to take any risk.
Fold it around to the button. Mike McDonald with deuce 4 offsuit. A raise and a stare. Cross folds the ace 4 suited. Seidel in the big blind.
This is a very good spot. People might think 2-4, very bad hand to be opening with, but these guys, Seidel and Fabian Kos, have only one option. They have to go all in or fold. And going all in here, yeah, I think they're probably going all in with 5% of their range, so that means they'll have to fold 95% of their hand combinations, which means this is just a very profitable open race for Timex.
Josh says 12 hands, and we've seen 1 flop so far. Actually, 9 hands, And yes, the only flop we saw was in an all-in and a call situation. Matthew says, Stapes, do you think at Super High Roller final tables they should have a sound effect when chips or cards pass the betting line? Kind of a pew!
Maybe for the people at home, I think it might be a little distracting for the players at the table. Plus, I'd be constantly moving chips back and forth over the line just to hear the sound effect, probably.
Francesca says, I've got to go, family barbecue. Hopefully my nan has wireless so I can watch on the poker app.
No, not Francesca. What are we going to do without Francesca?
If you are going out today, you can download the PokerStars TV app, and if where you're going doesn't have wireless, there's always 3G. Data charges may apply. Tag a tweet TPT Live if you want to get in touch. This is hand number 10 of the Super High Roller final table. Mike McDonald in the cutoff. Ace 3.
It's interesting that he decides to raise this hand because he does have Ola Shemion in the big blind.
Action has been followed around to Mike. He's going to raise to 140,000 total.
But he decides to just let it go.
Shemian may not want to mess around with another one of the big stacks. I think a lot of these pots is going to be who raises first.
And we see now Timax has 2.45 million, and Shemion, he just covers Shemion by 60k, but that means a lot because this means that Ola Shemion, if he clashes with Timax and goes all in, he can lose everything.
It's really in their best interest to stay away from each other. Mike McDonald, Vitaly Lunkin, and Ola Shemian.
A reminder that even though this is the final table of the tournament, we are not yet in the money. We don't crack open that €2.5 million prize pool until another player falls.
So brutal.
8th place finisher is the Bubble Boy. Really? Don't leave the final table in your pocket.
I like it. It's different.
Bless Graphical Nick. He thought about that one for at least 10 minutes.
It's good to know I'm so close to people's crotches.
Yoram says, too bad Daniel Negreanu isn't in the Super High Roller anymore. It was the EPT Awards and EPT Welcome Party last night, and we knew that when Jason and Daniel both rocked up that things hadn't worked out for them in this tournament.
It was a little too early for the final table to be set.
Shemian raises small to big.
And there's practically nothing David Benfield can do here.
Brendan says, great to have the EPT back on our screens. Looking forward to a lazy Sunday watching EPT and the soccer. Just a reminder that our coverage did actually start 2 days ago. We've covered every single day of the Super High Roller, and we will cover every single day of the main event, day 1A excluded, because that's taking place today. But day 1B, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for the final table, right through until next Saturday. You can watch EPT Live, and the schedule is available to view on the PokerStars blog and at PokerStars.tv. I just want to give a shout out to the blog team. And of course, the live updates guys are following day 1A of the main event. So if you want to know who's playing and how things are going and get some chip counts, check out the live updates on the blog. Follow them on Twitter at PokerStarsBlog.
A lot of reading on the blog. You're going to have to use the mind brain. I mean, right there, that's an example of how tight you have to be at this table with the size stack that most of these guys have. Tim and Steve both have the exact same stack, 815K, well under 20 big blinds.
King Queen for McDonald.
And a very often viewed phenomenon right now is the big stacks becoming bigger because they'll just be raising by turn, and the small stacks actually becoming smaller. And like you said, the smaller their stack becomes, the tighter they have to be, because then you don't have any more folding equity, which means that
you get looked up super light.
You get looked up super light, and then you can just not go all in anymore.
Quass with 8s, shoves.
Quassing it.
All in for 880,000.
It's actually pretty light. It might not seem like it, but it's a pretty light all-in given the situation. He still has 4 people behind.
How much is it?
We know Mike doesn't have to be super tight considering he is one of the bigger stacks.
Is that for a count?
And Fabian at this point probably knows that 8 is likely to be the best hand he's going to see for a while.
Fabian is all in for
And Fabian also knows that
80,000 total.
even though King Queen is a very strong hand, Mike will be folding hands like King Queen, King Jack, maybe even Ace 10, Ace Jack sometimes, because Fabian Coles has to be very tight in this spot. And like I said, just because everyone's been so tight with the small stacks, there's no need for Mike McDonald to be calling off now 740,000 because he can just raise and take it very easily afterwards.
He can get this money back very easily.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna wait for 20 minutes, give Fabian the sweat, and then just fold him.
Just under 20 minutes.
20 seconds, I meant. 20 minutes would be a pretty long time.
Quas wins that one. Hello to Andrew Miller on Twitter. Time to watch some EPT Live, then play the Sunday Million. I'm sure many of you have the same plan.
James, how long was that tank by Robert Mizraki in the Bahamas? 15 minutes?
No, not quite that. I think it was about 8.5.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess he didn't know what to do.
I think those shows just aired, right, James?
It has just aired in the UK, so and is available to watch at pokerstars.tv.
I should check it out.
I believe it is episode 6 of the PCA main event.
Really cool coverage of that hand. If you want to see an interesting tank hand on TV, we managed to not make it. We show all 8 minutes of it. And it's not the most boring thing in the world.
Jacks for McDonald. Reminder that we're at level 19 of the tournament, 30-60 blinds.
Action on call round. So Mikey's raised to 140,000 total.
Mike opens to 140k. Benefield with ace 10 on the button, folds.
Wow!
Vitaly Lunkin in the small blind. Queen deuce.
It's actually funny how guys that are known to be tight are actually also very tight. A guy like Vitaly Lunkin is really not abusing his image or anything. He's just playing really, really, really tight.
Benefield folds ace 10. You think he folds ace jack?
I'm pretty sure he would. I'm sure he should be folding ace jack there. If he respects Timex's game, then he
So
should
it's
be
only
folding
ace queen or better, huh?
A question from Tyler on Twitter. How good would poker be in 3D? Simple answer, Tyler. Not good at all. I'll be honest with you. I think there are very few sports that actually work in 3D. And those are sports where there's actually people moving about and physical activity. Poker was one of the last things to move to high definition. Present company excluded. Not all poker players look good in high definition. 3D, it might just be a step too far. Tilt non-stop says, God, that Mike McDonald stare is creepy.
I have experienced it playing the Bahamas. Day 1, the 10K main event, the guy, he can stare you down.
We've talked a lot about the stare down, Chris. I've got to be honest with you. I just find it funny. I would actually start laughing at him if he stared at me like that.
Look, one man's creepy is another man's erotic.
But it's actually funny because he's a really nice guy and then all of a sudden he gives you the stare.
Yeah.
It's
It is very incongruous.
the same as drinking Coke, thinking you're drinking iced tea or something.
The kid's a total goofball, and then all of a sudden it's just like the stare down.
Serious business.
So Shemi in this raise from the hijack. Ace 3. O'Dwyer with King 4 suited in the big blind.
This is a spot where if we would not be on the bubble, O'Dwyer could opt to defend his big blind, given the insane odds he's getting. He has to pay 65,000 for 300k pot. But in this situation, I think he should probably fold, which he's not doing. But he's Steve O'Dwyer, so I guess he knows.
Steve O'Dwyer, and he knows that all is going to be raising a really wide range.
with a 10-8-6 rainbow flop. Should point out, by the way, that O'Dwyer has an amazing track record on the EPT. He only really started playing on the tour at the start of Season 8, and in one of the first events he played, he came second. 3 other final tables since, including a win at the Grand Final in Monaco.
I was really hoping for the stop and go here, but it turns out that it's not 2006. Doesn't matter, though, since he's got an absolute monster.
When check on the flop, check on the turn. And now that O'Dwyer's got trips, you want to extract some value.
I think he should be going for a really small bet in this spot because Ola Shemyon, his hand is almost always defined towards ace high. So I don't think he should be betting higher than 80,000, but he does up to bet 150, I think, or 160.
He bets at 160,000 total.
And Ola Shemyon, smart as he is, he knows that O'Dwyer would not be jeopardizing 160,000 chips off his stack with no hand here.
Yeah.
And he's smart enough, so I'm pretty sure he'll let it go.
This call would be awfully hero-y. I mean, Steve would have to have no hand at all. Maybe all is thinking about raising.
That would be completely out of the blue. I'm pretty sure he will be just folding here. If he overthinks the situation, which I'm pretty sure he's very good at.
To be fair, he's probably considering all options. That's what these guys do. They think about calling, they think about what happens when they raise, they think about, folding.
And they take their time, just so they afterwards they don't think, oh, I should have taken more time. No.
We talked about Steve O'Dwyer's track record. We can't ignore Ola Shemyon. More than $3 million in live tournament earnings, including a win in the Partouche Poker Tour main event in 2012, and in the Masters Classics of Poker in Amsterdam just a short while later. Plenty of side event victories. We heard Neil Johnson listing some of those victories at the start of the day.
Don't forget to mention all his winnings on PokerStars.
Indeed.
Wizzo, feared and known.
W Coupe, of course, just around the corner. Sunday, September the 8th is when a lot of people are going to be leaving Barcelona. The festival will have come to an end, and they'll be finding a place in the world where they're going to settle for 2 weeks to grind the W Coupe.
Actions before round to David. He's going to race 125,000 total.
If there's any lady poker players out there, my internet connection very good in London.
Benefield is raised on the hijack, and we haven't seen his cards yet. Lunkin's got 10s in the cutoff. Just very quickly going back to the subject of poker in 3D, Joshua says a Helmuth freakout in 3D would be scary. A Helmuth freakout is never scary, it's just comical.
It's pretty hilarious.
I think Vitaly Lunkin should be very polarized in this spot. I think he's just going to be flatting the 10s. I think that's the best option.
Well, especially because we know Benefield holding a hand as strong as ace-10. You got to wonder what he's raising with.
Plus, it also has to do with Vitaly's image. If he's smart, then he knows that people think he's very tight. So he should just be 3-betting complete crap. And maybe not even the nuts, maybe only complete crap and flat everything else.
325,000 he's made it.
Don't really agree with this play.
Oh, Mike McDonald, ace-jack in the big blind.
This would be an insane spot for a cold 4-bet.
Mike McDonald possibly having flashbacks to last year's final table where he did all of his chips with ace-jack in 2 successive hands.
Seems like David Benefield is having a lot of trouble showing his cards to the camera.
Well, it's an unintentional sweat with hand. We are playing this from Vitaly Lunkin's perspective.
I don't mind that, actually. I like this.
I don't really think Vitaly is accomplishing much with this 3-bet because David will be just folding everything which is worse and continuing with all hands that beat him.
I think that's a really good point.
So Lunkin wins that one and extends his chip lead. He's now playing 2.775 million. Mike McDonald's second on the leaderboard with 2.37 million. And the short stacks, less than 20 big blinds each. Quas, O'Dwyer, Seidel, and bringing up the rear, Timothy Adams with just 11 big blinds. Half an hour left on this level, then the blinds go to 40-80 with a 10K ante. Paul Phillips tweets to say, looking forward to today's coverage. We're arriving in Barcelona tomorrow and playing some poker. Thanks, guys. Great job. Thank you for getting in touch, Paul. Hashtag EPT Live on Twitter. Bad Beat Lust says, if I remember correctly, Stape said there'll be no WCOOP TV or radio coverage, correct?
That is correct.
Well, not 100% correct. There will be cards up highlight shows of some of the WCOOP final tables, but no, there will be no magazine show and no radio show.
The words of Nick Wealthall, the show is just too good.
I have to say, Bad Beat Lust's follow-up is awesome. If Benefield has problems with hold card cameras, ESPN are going to kill him in November. Going to have to get used to showing that camera, David.
He's got 3 of me. That's what he was thinking of. He was like, oh, I got 3% of...
In the meanwhile, Eric Seidel has moved all in from under the gun for 15 big blinds. No, not 15. What am I saying? 13 and a bit. And this is a typical spot where people are going to be calling very, very tight.
James, aren't we sort of getting to the point, too, that by the time we even lose the short stacks, that even the consolidation isn't going to be very big? I mean, if we got the heads up very quickly, they'd be deep, but, I mean, we're looking at, again, and this has been the case, the last bunch of tournaments we've covered, we're looking at maybe a fast final table once the bubble goes.
Well, this did happen in Monaco, and you may remember if you're watching our coverage of the Super High Roller at the Grand Final that they actually played down to the money on the penultimate day of the tournaments. They came back for the final seven-handed, and it was an incredibly short stack final table. And you can argue, oh, well, the skill element's been removed, but, you know, you do it to yourself, guys. If you take this long to get to the bubble, then unfortunately, you just got to play with what you got. And there is last year's champion Dan Smith chatting to Lucky Chewy on the rail.
And actually, the more skilled a field is, the longer a bubble will take, because they will just be making a lot less mistakes and not risking their stack and risking the bubble with less hands than they would supposed to be.
Here's a good comment from Franz on Twitter, and this may explain David's reluctance to show us his cards. Do you think the other November 8 are analysing Benefield's play?
Oh, good question. Maybe.
Stand up and be counted. If you are a November 9er and you're watching this live stream, nuts at pokerstars.tv, tag your tweet to EPT Live as Timothy Adams moves all in from the hijack for his last 665K.
And if you're new to poker, you may be wondering, he just folded King-Queen before. Why is he shoving with King-9 now? And the difference is that Adams is opening the action, whereas before it was Eric Seidel who had moved all in first. You always want to be the aggressor.
We have an all-in a call.
Seidel calls, putting Adams at risk. Seidel's got queens again? Seidel open shove with queens the last hand, didn't get any action. Now Timothy Adams shoves with King-9 into his queens.
Well, King-9's actually doing a little bit better than King-Queen is doing against queens, right?
Yeah, just because he can hit trip nines now.
32% equity for Adams, a 32% chance of survival.
And you saw the pain in Eric Seidel's face. He was not even happy with calling here. And
King.
we see why.
King on the flop.
Poor Eric Seidel has just gotten brutalized at every super high roller final table that he's been at, which has been many of them.
The 10 of clubs on a turn gives him a lot of outs. Probably one of the best cards in the deck for Eric Seidel.
Seidel looking for a queen or a club on the river. Timothy Adams needs to fade those cards to survive.
Oh, this is so gross. What a gross bubble.
It's a club! It's the flush for Seidel, and Timothy Adams exits in 8th. Timothy Adams is the bubble boy in the 50K Super High Roller.
Oh, that is just gross. Excuse me for a second.
All right.
Poker Viking tweets, woohoo, finally some action. I think we will now see a lot more action. Now we're seven-handed. Now everyone is guaranteed at least 130,000 euros.
Does anyone have a toothbrush?
Thanks.
Wins €0. Wow, Graphical Nick. Way to stick it in and twist it. Unbelievable. Poor guy.
Seidel is now up to 1.74 million as the remaining 7 celebrate being in the money.
Yeah, look at them all celebrate.
They're celebrating on the inside.
There's one big party out there. But this is a very gross feeling right now.
And there we go. That right there, my friends, is a brain trust on the rail. Very likely to be watching our coverage and disseminating the information to their pals at the table.
So O'Dwyer now the shortest stack, playing 16 big blinds. Cross playing 18 bigs. And Lunkin, the chip leader, only has 46 big blinds. This is not a deep final table, and in 20 minutes it's going to become even shallower because those blinds are going up.
Well, everybody's free roll now.
Fold all the way around, and Ollie will get a walk.
A walk for Olushemian in the big blind.
It's actually very strange. I can imagine it can be very weird if you're watching this the first time. If you're watching poker for the first time, you know now that all these guys have won 130,000 euros, and they're looking exactly the same as they looked 5 minutes ago. Well, this has much to do with courtesy. You don't want to be rubbing it in Timothy's face right now, and I can assure you guys that everyone at this table is very happy.
I agree with you, Christoph, but how amazing would it have been if Seidel had leapt out of his chair and gone, "In your face, Adams! In your face!"
The poker world would be shocked.
He's just like, oh, I've been waiting years to do that. Feels so good.
Paul Walsh says at least it was an exciting hand to get us past the bubble.
We may have another exciting hand brewing here. Ace-King suited for McDonald.
Michael says you could see it in Timothy's eyes. He was feeling that river club was coming. So McDonald racing with Ace-King.
Fabian Kos looking very, very serious. This very often means he's going to be doing something, and he's going to be doing it at the wrong time.
Wing suited.
In the cutoff.
This is actually pretty close.
He shoves for $1 million. He's going to get called in at least one spot.
There is one queen.
That's a good point.
And he makes the call.
So McDonald calls and Fabian Cross is at risk.
I got this.
Fabian all in play.
And as Christoph pointed out, we know at least one queen's been folded.
Mike shows ace
But there's also 2 clubs that have been folded, so I guess Colts is looking for some black kind of flop or something Jack 10-9-ish somewhere.
Loving your optimism.
Worked yesterday.
Cross is
That worked
optimistic.
yesterday when you said good luck, and I had the king queen. Feeling very good about this one.
Nah, you're not.
I'm not new.
Yeah, this is kind of mission impossible.
Toby always says that you cannot fold spades. So
You cannot fold king queen suited anymore.
You know you're only prolonging your own torture.
And this is a hand that he maybe would have folded had the bubble not burst 1 hand ago.
I didn't know that.
And then we go to
Is
the
that
flop.
true? Really? Yep. Really? Yep.
Oh, top pair for McDonald. The flush draw for Cross.
It's never easy.
I would have fold spades.
We see that Fabian Colts, his percentage has gone up, even though the ace is there.
And the 10 is the jack of diamonds.
It gets more exciting on the turn. Cross now with a straight draw to go with the flush draw.
Mike McDonald has a nice tight fade, but can he fade?
Are we going to see the too many out syndrome? Yes, we do.
Fabian Cross follows Timothy Adams out of the door.
Game best.
He's our 7th place finisher, but he has cashed, unlike Adams,
Yeah, thanks.
128,515 euros for finishing 7th as we go 6-handed here in the 50k Super High Roller.
8-handed for 7 hours. 6-handed, 7 minutes after that.
19 hands at this final table so far. 90 minutes left on the level.
Yeah. You good, pardon me?
O'Dwyer
Yeah.
still the low stack, but he has managed to ladder up a spot with Cross being busted by McDonald, who becomes the new chip leader, the only player with more than 50 big blinds, a stack of 3.5 million.
And as long as he still has chips, he has a chance to win back-to-back tournaments on the EPT.
I think it was like all in on the flops, and, or like they're still going on the flop set, and he's got a lot of
Very good spot for Ola Shemian to be opening, even though he doesn't even have to look at his cards in this situation. Vitaly Lunkin is just being playing so tight. He's not bluff 3-betting, he's not defending a lot, so then he can be just opening any 2 cards and win money.
Yeah, Shemian's got the chips, but he's also just got a nice spot at this table.
More of your tweets. Remember to tag him, EPT Live. Adam says, good game, Cross, another big score. Got to be one of the most underrated players on the poker scene. You say Fabian Cross is underrated? He's probably not as well known as many of the others.
But I don't think he's underrated, no.
I think most people who know Fabian would consider him to be a very strong tournament player.
He's very well respected. He belongs to the crew of, what's his name again? Tobias Reinkemeyer?
Yeah.
Igor.
And the other guys, Igor Kurganov. Those guys, they know what they're doing. They talk poker all day, every day. Fabian Kos is, in fact, a very big name in poker. Maybe not so much for the outside, though.
It was like,
Yeah, he hasn't quite cracked.
The Ace of Spades fans, and I'm like, oh, this is fucking...
I mean, that's
it's getting dick up.
You win when you don't expect to. It's when you're like really confident, like you're just
Yeah. It's crazy how
I
that
think
works.
it's gonna start in like 8 minutes.
Alright, cool. I mean, nothing that interesting's happened, but...
O'Dwyer's all in. Shemian open from the cutoff with Queen 5.
Yeah.
O'Dwyer shoves the big blind. 920k. Shemian will fold, and I noticed there that Pratush Badiga has a tablet device.
Right.
He may be monitoring the stream on that device and feeding information back to his buddy Mike McDonald. Steve Silverman standing alongside Pratush.
And I think we're going to get Steve in here later to do some commentary. Jeff Rossler also on the rail. I saw Scott Seaver hiding out in the back there.
Stephen Kerr on Twitter says, amazing. Yesterday, Mike McDonald was down to 4 big blinds. Now sits atop the leaderboard with 58 big blinds. 6 players left. Take it down, Mike. Hashtag run good. And Curtis says, go Canada.
That's the way it goes in poker. We see very big stacks become really small, eventually busting, and very small stacks becoming the big guys. So there's not. It ain't over till it's over. I think it's most applicable to poker.
Well, we know that Benefield has an ace.
He at least showed 1 card. He's learning.
Lunkin also has an ace. Ace 10.
All the other guys of the November 9 are getting coaching now to improve their poker skills. David could use some coaching to improve his show the camera skills, I guess. This again would have been a good spot for Vitaly to 3-bet. Although maybe ace-10 is just a little bit too strong in this situation.
And Mike McDonald being offered a decent price with King-9 suited in the big blind.
He's almost always going to be overcalling here.
3-way to the flop.
We saw Benefield open with ace-9 suited before. Do you think he would open much worse than that?
He's probably opening ace-5 suited, ace-4 suited, with the small suited aces,
Right,
and then
the wheel
ace-9
aces.
plus. Oh, well,
Ace-7 offsuit.
I think that's probably not a very profitable open in this situation, given the strength of his opponents.
Especially once you get called in 2 spots pre-flop.
So top pair for McDonald. He checks. Benefield, the pre-flop aggressor, continues into 2 opponents. Lunkin has a gut shot. He folds it.
This is a very, very optimistic continuation bet against 2 players. king, queen, 2 clubs, so many straight draws, gut shots, everything that can peel one, flush draws, top pair, middle pair, whatever pair that is not folding.
Look at that screen. Mike McDonald can stare down himself.
Maybe we'll get scared now. Imagine if he...
Do those guys know they've got the floating head of McDonald behind them?
Looks like he's going to eat them.
I don't think they would be standing that confident if they would.
Mike makes the call, and we are heads up to the turn.
I'm not sure what David Benefield's plan is here. On this card, he's definitely giving up, though. We will not see any more betting from David Benefield. I can bet you again my right testicle.
Well,
there it goes
you may
again.
want to have kids someday, and there is always a chance Benefield tries to rep McDonald's hand.
Mike checks.
Benefield,
Please
doesn't
don't
have
bet. Don't
much
bet.
more than a pot-sized bet.
I got my scalpel ready,
Oh,
Christoph.
please.
Tap the table, David. Tap it. Tap the table. There you go.
We will see the river. River is the 4 of clubs.
I'd say 285,000. But he's never getting called, so that's the problem. He has to rep a hand like Jack 10 off, Ace Jack, Jack 9 in order to get called. Maybe a hand like 5-6 suited that is turning into a bluff, but which is not necessary. But he's betting here just to represent these hands. That's 300. It's 1/3 of the pot.
So when Mike bets here, he thinks this is a spot where Benefield's rarely going to bluff.
He's going to bet out 400,000 total.
He knows he's probably not getting called, but on the other hand, like you said, David is also not going to bet with a worse hand, or actually he's not going to bet at all. There's absolutely no value for David to be betting a hand like Queen 9 here.
I think this is another tank fold.
Maybe you could bet a hand like Queen. Nah, he's not going to be betting Queen 9. Not when the flush gets there.
Benefield lets it go.
David folds.
This would have been a very, very sexy spot to be min betting if I were Timex. I don't think he accomplishes much with betting that big.
Well, if he's trying to rep the sort of hand you're talking about, turning a hand into a bluff, he may not min bet those hands.
No, that's very true.
Because we're streaming on an hour delay, and that's the feed that everyone's watching. So we prefer you didn't tweet any spoilers, but if you do, please don't tweet them to EPT Live. Thanks, guys.
Players just being advised by Neil Johnson that we would like them to avoid tweeting spoilers. Bear in mind that what we're watching happened an hour ago. But while we can't control what they tweet, we do ask that they don't include the hashtag EPT Live, because we know so many of you are following that timeline. Among you, Ryan Reed, who says it's 7 a.m. in California, and I'm stoked to be watching the live stream. Thanks for the great commentary, and go 49ers! Damn straight, Ryan. 1 week to go till the football season starts. Boom!
Buffy writes in to say Eric won on the river to survive yesterday. Proves even the best players need Lady Luck on their shoulder at all times. It's his time, I hope. You know, if I was going to have Lady Luck on some part of my body, I wouldn't choose my shoulder.
Kieran says, really want Steve O'Dwyer to win it. He's doing Ireland proud. He is my role model. Bring it home for the Irish, Steve. Walk for Eric Seidel. By the way, if you're not on Twitter and you want to get in touch, any questions, any comments, nuts@pokerstars.tv is the email address. 10 minutes left on this level. They're going to play straight through into level 20. David Benefield is under the gun. He folds. Lunkin. Ace Jack.
All right, we are moving to level 3. The lines 100, 200.
I thought he was about to fold Ace Jack. I was like, wow, he is tight.
It's
This is a hand he should definitely be opening, which he is. Making it 150, I think.
Maximum fall round to Vitaly. He's going to race to 150,000 total.
It's a very good spot for Steve O'Dwyer to just be flatting his aces.
You really can't do much wrong with aces except fold them.
O'Dwyer does just call.
He wouldn't be Steve O'Dwyer if he would not be just calling here. Making the right decisions at the right time.
The trap is set.
Steve knows that if he's going all in here, it's for half Lunkin stack. Lunkin will only be calling his top of his range, opening from under the gun. So which means that Lunkin would be folding very, very often, and you don't want that when you have pocket aces.
Oh, Lunkin has completely missed the flop.
It'd be really interesting to see how Steve plays this hand.
The problem right now, I think, is that Steve knows that Vitaly Lunkin is checking the check fold here very often.
Right. And so do you give up equity? You know, do you give a free card?
I think in this situation, having aces, there's no real bad cards on the turn. It's different when you have a pair like tens or jacks, which still has 2 or 3 overs. Which means that your opponent will have a lot more outs. In this case, your opponent is just very often dead with his broad. Well, he's dead with his broadways.
I mean, it's a lot different even if there were, say, you know, 1 or 2 higher cards out there, because then you have straights and things to protect against. But there's really not much for Steve to be afraid of here, other than pairs from Vitaly.
So Steve has bet 150,000.
A potential set is what I mean, and letting him catch up there.
And Lunkin's thinking about it. Just
But yeah,
with 2 overs to the board.
Most of the time, Lunkin's just going to have 2 big cards and is going to totally miss here,
which are completely dead. So in that scenario, Steve just wants a queen or a king or a jack coming on the turn. And so we can extract some value. In this case, in this scenario, he's just not going to extract anything.
Lunkin folds. So while this tournament is going to conclude today, of course, our live coverage continues for another 6 days after this as we switch our focus to the 5K main event. One of the things we're going to be doing on EPT Live in the next couple of days is a special question and answer session with Daniel Negreanu. Now, this is your chance to ask questions of Kid Poker. So we're going to be putting your questions to Daniel. So we want you to submit those questions on the emails only, please. The address is on your screen right now, nuts@pokerstars.tv. Send your questions in for Daniel Negreanu, and I guarantee you that whoever asks the most interesting question, as judged by the EPT Live production team, will win a commemorative EPT10 card protector.
What? Can we afford that? Is that in the... I'm not paying for that.
Yeah,
all right, I'll pay for it. Yeah, Uncle Daddy's got you. PokerStars Fat Cat is rolling over in his grave, giving away things in the live broadcast.
Juan Pablo gets in touch to say, watching EPT Super High Roll-Up final table. Regards from the Philippines. Great to know people are watching all around the world as we play down to a champion in this event.
Did David show his cards to the camera?
I think we may just be missing all graphics at the moment.
9-8-5 flop. Seidel the pre-flop raiser. Benefield defending from the big blind.
Is the 10 of spades.
Check, check on the flop. 10 of spades on the turn.
David checks.
Action's been checked to Seidel. Any delayed C-bet, Eric?
Eric bets up 150,000 total.
Big delayed seed bet, 115 to 340.
Cool. David makes a call. We will see the river.
Benefield calls. Queen of Hearts on the river. And not going to check. Check anyone?
It's a very interesting situation for Eric Seidel to be delayed continuation betting. most of the hands that connect to the 10 also connect to the flop. Hands like, let's say Jack 10, Queen Jack, 10 9, 10 8. Maybe if he has a hand like King 10 and opted to just check it back and go to showdown, but now made a pair, that's why he's betting.
He's betting again.
Reminder of chip denominations rolling along the bottom of your screen right now.
How about that?
Seidel turned the straight. Benefield has a jack in his hand. He's got the better straight.
I think Seidel may have had the straight
on the flop.
From jump.
Oh, wow.
Which explains he was getting a little tricky.
Sorry about that, guys. Our graphics are a little bit slow with the catch-up there, but the end result is that David Benefield wins a pot of more than 1 million. Seidel drops down to 1.16. Benefield up to 1.69.
Even though he had the nuts, I think Seidel saved himself money by not betting the flop in this scenario.
What was it that Benefield actually turned over? Jack, some kind of weird jack?
Jack 8, middle pair on the flop,
Okay,
turned an open ender, and river to straight.
Where's he going?
Not even sure if Eric Seidel should be betting there against David Benefield, just because David Benefield knows Eric Seidel, and Eric Seidel should know that David Benefield knows him, which means that he's not going to be calling him much lighter than a straight there.
O'Dwyer raising under the gun with a6. King Jack for Mike McDonald.
Action was fold all the way around, and Steve will win this pot.
And take it.
Every time Vitaly Lunkin is in the big blind, you will see someone opening on the pot.
Yeah, he likes to spread it around a little bit. Likes to give away the big blind.
Ellie tweets to say it's midnight in Australia. I hope you don't have to go to work tomorrow, Ellie, and you can stay with us through the night in your time zone. Michael asks, isn't what Seidel doing considered a string bet? He's been doing it all day yesterday too.
I was actually thinking the same when I saw him betting. You see a lot of people in America doing it, making the, like, they throw one stack and then the other. I think maybe it's because it's Eric Seidel that and it's such a big tournament that they're not saying anything about it, but it's pretty close to a string
I haven't been
bet,
paying
actually.
attention, but does he have all the chips in one hand when he goes over the line?
I think so, yeah, I think he does.
Because I think that's sometimes, as long as you cut out the chips before you pull your hand back, I think that's allowed.
It's actually a very interesting question.
Well, now that Michael's brought it to our attention, and interesting you noticed it as well, Christoph, let's pay attention. Next time Seidel bets, we are going to be on him like a hawk.
A hawk that is really good at spotting string bets.
And has absolutely no authority over the situation. So, Lunkin limps small to big. O'Dwyer's got a decent hand in the big blind, ace-queen.
I think he's going to be making 180.
He folded. 190.
Decided to limp fold hand like 5-4 suited. Pretty interesting. Although the shallower the stacks get, the less value hands like 5-4 suited, 6-7 suited, and everything have, because those are speculative hands, which means that you want to be seeing all 5 cards. And playing such shallow poker, you will just not always be seeing the turn in the river.
So, a reminder of the prize money. Fabian Quas cashing for 128,000 euros in 7th place. Next man out, 159,000. The winner, 771,000 euros.
The jumps are pretty reasonable in this particular super high roller. So you get up to number 1 and 2. Boom. Level 20.
Yeah,
the boss at the end of level 20 is a beast.
I think we've actually just managed to squeeze in one last hand of 30-60.
Yeah.
But you're right, the clock has officially ticked over, so after this hand, blinds will be up to 40-80 with a 10k ante. Oh, Michael. Shimion's raise, called by McDonald in the big blind.
Start the action, Wally, where you raised 125,000 total. Action called around to Mike, he made the call. He heads up to the book.
Ace tray 4, 2 hearts. McDonald pairs his ace.
Action starts with Mike. Mike checks.
McDonald checks.
If there's one thing we know about Ola Shemian,
Kid will bet.
give him the opportunity, and he will fire 3 barrels.
Mike McDonald will call. I think this is a very typical situation where Ola will be just betting once, just making Mike fold all his air, and then just giving up. It's because as soon as Mike check calls, you're out of position against a guy known for barreling a lot. Mike just always has an ace, or at least a hand like 4 or 5 suited or something.
See if he picks up one of his back doors. Nope.
Pretty curious what Ola is gonna be doing here, because it's a pretty decent card to be barreling. But then he has to 3-barrel it, and the question is, does he want to be 3-barreling here for his tournament live against the chip leader of the tournament? The chip leader being Mike McDonald, who knows very well what he's doing. No, he's just going to be giving it up, and we'll see Mike McDonald just winning this pot. There's absolutely no reason, I think, for Mike to be betting here. But on the other hand, Ola is also never going to be betting, so this is actually a very similar situation as before. Mike might think he can get some value from a hand like Ace-8, but then on the other hand, what is he bluffing here with?
Insta-fold.
It's also for balance purposes, I guess, that Mike McDonald is betting here, but I don't think he expects to be getting called very often.
Is that a spot where a player is ever going to check and allow his opponent to bluff? Because I think that is a spot where some players are going to bluff at it once it's checked to them.
I think this is a spot where you should check against weaker players that don't really see what you are doing. But a guy like Ola Shemian will just never fall for that trap. He knows that Mike McDonald will always be check calling there. So yeah, actually, I don't know what's the best line here, because like I said, Ola is never calling, but on the other hand, probably also never bluffing. So then the question is he calling more than he's bluffing?
Right.
If you know the answer, you know the solution.